Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. In today's video we're going to be painting Nicolas Cage but with Cage Rage. This is going to be an image, this is off Ghost Rider, the one you can see in front here. So what I've done is I've put two images together and I've split his face coming across, and we've dropped the Ghost Rider's skull on this image. So you're going to have the Ghost Rider skull there, and then we're going to do some flame work. We'll have a black background on this, and I'm going to do some candy flames coming out the side of the skull. And then later on in this video, guys, we're going to do some glass etching again, and we're going to put the Ghost Rider logo in the top corner of the glass to finish it off. So stick with me, guys, on this. I'll put you on some time lapses, and then I'll talk you through on intervals the pieces that I'm using, the airbrush, the paints, any mixed stuff that I'm doing, the candies that we're going to use. So I'll talk you through this double portrait that I'm going to do. I've got both images for the screen so I can flip between the two, but we're going to concentrate on this part of the face first, get this bit in. Yeah, so I'll see you lot in the time lapse. Break on that time lapse, guys. This is probably quite glary, so you're not going to be able to see much of what I've done because I've got the overhead light on. So when I work, it casts my shadows downwards. If you've got light behind you and from the sides, you're going to put shadows across your work, and that makes it really hard to see. So always put your light above, guys, coming down. So as you can see, shadows instantly cast down as you're working, not getting in on your work. So I'll just run through the bits that I've done. Because I'm using a textured standard paper on this, I can't do scratch back techniques and eraser techniques to knock the tones back and get textures that way. I'm having to put textures in with the airbrush and then work these tones and textures with the airbrush with no scratching techniques, because this paper won't let you do it. You'll just scratch back and you'll just scuff the paper up. So I started off with a value 9, which is a really light grey mix on the grey scale. And I've just gone in and I've just started doing tiny little textures, working round the forehead, coming down the nose, and just putting in some textures around the eye, down the cheek, on the bottom of the neck, because you've got a little bit here. We've done these bits here, round here. I put the crease lines in first pass, little bit here and here. Drop the textures in on the ear. I've put the bits under the nose to here because we're splitting the image across, and I've done this bottom part of the lip. So I'm just going to keep working these tones in. I'll just start coming down the values, getting darker and darker and bouncing across. And if I want to lighten it up, I'll just go up the value scales, back up and down, and just keep working it and working it. So that's where we are. The airbrush that I'm using for this is the Griot's PS270. I'll use this throughout this portrait. This is a 0.2, so it's not your finest needles like the Micron, but it will be more than good enough for getting this image down. So I'll see you in the next time lapse, guys. break, guys, and another little talk through for you. I've gone in with some transparent greys, blacks, and just started to darken out this. Put a few more darks in. What I'm going to do next, I'm going to black this background off now. I'm going to darken this side off, and then I can start looking at how darks I'm going across onto this. So that's the next step, guys. We've started off with a value 9, we bounced onto a 4, we've gone through a transparent black, a shading grey. So they're the colours that we've used so far on this. I'm just going to stick to them and work them, just keep working them. Them ones that I've been using, working across, sharpening things up, dropping highlights in. Started to put some textures down on the leather coat, but now I'm going to darken this, black all this out, and then I can gauge then across on where I'm going with this portrait. So I'll see you in the next time lapse, guys. Right, guys, another little break along them time lapses. As you can see, I've worked the darking round here, and then you can just gauge across on what tones you're going to drop in on here. Dropped all the eye and the details in the eye. We're just working up, putting the tones in. Probably going to work the hair in next. Bit of the leather jacket in along there, and the t-shirt coming round and under the neck. The lips in now. Shadow under there, the crease in the face there. So I'll work this side of the hair in, then start doing the tones in this forehead, dropping that down, and I've just been pinpricking in the highlights as I go along, and then I can flip the image over and I can start working on the skull side. It's mainly darks in this skull here, and all this is sort of the flame coming up. And we'll just continue that out with a bit of little smoke effect coming up there, and then I can work the rest of this leather jacket in, and I'll drop some of these coloured tones where the highlights are on the leather jacket. I'll just put the colours as they'd be coming across on them highlights on the jacket there, and then we'll call that one done, guys. We'll get the logo dropped in, etched in here, and get it all framed up. So we're sort of halfway through. It's probably about 2 hours, 2.5 hours in, and we're to that stage there. So I've probably got another 3 hours with this and this piece here, and there's all the flames put in, probably 3 to 4 hours. So I'll do this in 2 stages. I'll do this one as part 1. We'll do a little bit more, and then I'll do part 2 on Nicolas Cage. So you have 2 parts to this video, guys. So we'll crack on, and I'll get you in another time lapse. Another little break. This is the final break, and then I'll see you in the next part, which will be part 2 on the Cage Rage Ghost Rider. As you've seen, I was just starting the hair, just working in the tones, and then a good way for hair is, this is a piece of wire. Get your strands of wire, pull some strands out, and then bend these to the shape of the hairline that you want to follow. Lay them on the piece and just spray through, and then you'll get your textures for your hair. So that's a good tip for doing hair, guys. Strands of wire. You can do it that way. You can do it with like bristles of a brush. Cut some bristles. I've done that before, where I've cut a load of bristles off a long brush and then put a bit of masking tape around so they're strands, and just bend them and spray through, and you'll get your textures. So I've just started working in the hair. This light's probably really glaring this piece up, but we're just putting the darks in and just putting a few of the highlights in, and I'll just keep knocking them backwards and forwards. If this was Bristol board, I could really get this hair really realistic, because you can proper scratch back on that. This paper, I've tried it and it's pulling. You're getting little pull marks. So I'm having to go in with a white water-based acrylic pencil, get this really sharpened up, and just drop some of the little highlights in and the little fine hairs for the hair textures. But we'll get it a bit better than this. We'll work that in a bit more, work this piece in, and then in part 2 we'll start the skull. We'll start working in the skull, and then we can start working the firing, the background, and the rest of the leather jacket. So I hope you enjoyed this video, guys, on the stages of Nicolas Cage, Cage Rage, Ghost Rider, and I'll see you lot in part 2. Thanks for watching.